Steve in the Green Mountains of Vermont, here in the ditch. This is a shout out to the SDR developers, developmental community. Something that I don't know if there's many of us or a lot of us or a huge number of us, but those of us that employ SDR dongle type systems with our HF rigs, using them as front end to our HF rig, suffer from some issues that maybe the developers could address. The first thing is latency issue. Now, I have a commercial sound card here, a Tascam sound card. It's non-zero latency. For all you SDR people out there that interface it to an HF transceiver, you'll notice that there is about a half second of latency between the two. Now, I always thought it was a USB issue. It is not. I have a 1641 here, Tascam professional grade sound card, and that has 10 to 15 seconds of milliseconds of latency. In other words, it's non-zero, it's not zero latency, but it's imperceptible to the human ear. Now, that comes in via USB interface. So I was thinking what would be fantastic is for developers to develop a low latency driver for these dongles. That's the first thing. That would be fantastic. The second thing is noise reduction algorithms. I know Flex and Anon, they have superb noise reduction algorithms. The one thing that bothers me about the current noise reduction algorithms is that to get them to a place, to apply them to where it really makes a big difference, it does affect the audio. You hear that, I know all of us have heard that warbly sound. It gets warbly and like it's almost underwater. And, you know, noise reduction algorithms, someone could write something like that for, let's say, SDR console. Any of these, I know SDR Sharp is very good. The problem with SDR Sharp is it doesn't interface to an HF transceiver, which is a bummer. You can't sync it to I think it will sync. Now, this is coming from a point of ignorance, but I have done some research on this. SDR Sharp is a bust for me. So I run SDR console here, as the guys that frequent the stream know. And I use an Airspy HF Plus as a front end of the 7300. I love it. I love it. So that being said, I want to say a big thank you to developers of SDR console and the Airspy community. Fantastic system. Getting back to the noise reduction thing, I know, and again, this is coming from a place of ignorance, but I'm a musician, have been a musician since I was, well, all my life, but a session musician and recording artist and live performing drummer since I was about 17. I'm 55. And I've been in the music industry community for that entire time. Now, anybody who's familiar with the recording software, let's just say Cakewalk by BandLabs, Cubase, Pro Tools, stuff like that. For those that don't know, this software is capable of taking what's called VST plugins. And it would be great if the SDR software was set up like that, where developers could develop, just hypothetically, some noise reduction plugins that are designed for different things. You know, noise reduction plugins that target a very specific type of noise for, let's say, EMI type noise, stuff like that. That doesn't have that warbly effect to it. And develop them as a plugin cross-platform that you can import and use in all your different pieces of SDR software. I know this is a point of ignorance, place of it. I'm approaching this from a purely fundamental standpoint. I have no idea what's involved, but I figured I'd give a shout out to the community and see if anybody has thought about this and is actually working on something like this. The latency issue, going back to the latency issue, the reason why I would be thrilled, and many of us would be thrilled, to get a low latency driver for these systems is that even a half second of latency is too much latency. If you're trying to break a pile up or you're working a contest, I've gotten used to it. But when timing is everything and milliseconds count, half second's kind of a deal breaker. Now, the computer side of things, I've noticed that some software is very CPU intensive, some is not. I'm not really gonna, I know that's all an individual type thing and the type of software. What I have noticed about SDR console is it's very CPU friendly, very CPU friendly. Also, there's other pieces of software out there I've noticed that actually function better or worse with rig control. That's the other thing. I know a lot of the software runs with, you can sync your radio to it via OmniRig. But those three things, the noise reduction, actually the two things, the noise reduction and the latency issue, those two things would be fantastic. And I'm telling you, the community would be willing to pay for those drivers and those plugins. I would pay for those, absolutely. So anyways, that's just a shout out to the SDR developer community. I'm sure there's so much more that people are looking for, but those are the main things to myself and to a lot of other people I talk to that are using these type of systems with their HF rig. And let me just say, I understand that these dongles were originally intended, I believe, to be receive only, hook them up to antenna and surf around and listen. And many people, probably the vast majority of people, that's what they use them for. But it's a great technology and it's a great platform because, as many of us know, you can take one of these, you can sync it to your HF rig, use it as a front end and actually monitor through it and get the control that you don't have with the front end of your HF rig. The quietness of receive, notch, that's the other thing I was going to mention, notch filtering, SDR console. It'd be fantastic to have like a manual notch function where you can drop in notches. Incredibly valuable for contesting in very crowded bands. Phenomenal. Birdies, interference, drop a notch in, bang. Much like the flex systems and non-systems have. Think about that. That'd be fantastic. You're talking about any old rig. You can. I have a friend that did it with an 857D. Grabbed an IF out and he runs just a cheap little RTL on his 857D. Now that's a $700 radio new. Think about the power of that. So when and most of the software is free. So I want to say thank you. And don't misconstrue what I'm saying. I'm not criticizing anything. You cannot criticize anything that's free. You have to appreciate it. And that's what I'm saying here. I appreciate all the stuff that you guys do in the developmental community in the SDR, with the SDR platforms. Phenomenal. I don't understand how you do it, but I figured I'd just throw some things out there, some things that we're all kind of waiting with bated breath for, because it would really open the door. You can take a 30-year-old transceiver, aside from the TX side of things, you can basically, with a low latency driver and some sort of adequate noise reduction algorithm system, would be via plug-in or proprietary to someone's software. Fantastic, along with the notch. So, figured I'd throw that out there. Anyways, you guys have a great day. We're all waiting and watching. And again, very much a big thank you to the SDR community for all that you're doing. And I don't know if anyone really takes the time to actually say thank you, but I know myself and a lot of the folks that frequent the stream who are venturing into this, we're all very appreciative. So 7-3, have a great day, and hope to catch you on a stream or maybe on the air on HF somewhere. Have a good one. This is K1GMM Steve. We'll catch you soon.